Most users pretty much expect their apps to store their data so they can create a more customized user experience. So it's no surprise iOS gives us several ways to read and write user data. One of the simplest ways to do this for small amounts of data is called UserDefaults, and it's great for simple user preferences. There is no specific number attached to what small amount actually means, but keep in mind that your app, when it launches, will automatically load all your UserDefaults data at the same time. So if you try and store a lot of information in there, then your app will launch slower and slower and slower. It's a bad thing to do. To give you an idea, at least roughly, aim to store much less than 512 kilobytes. That's the absolute maximum you want to be aiming for. If until you're thinking, well, 512 kilobytes, how much is that? It's about a medium-sized novel worth of words or about 30 seconds of medium quality audio, right? That's your absolute maximum to store inside here. Ideally, much, much less. Now, UserDefault is perfect for storing simple things like when did the user last launch your app? Is it the first time they've launched it? What was the last news story they read? Or other passively collected information that you want to care about. Even better, SwiftUI wraps up UserDefaults into a nice and simple property wrapper called App Storage. It supports only a subset of functionality, at least right now, but it can still be very, very helpful. Enough chat. Let's look at some code. We'll make a button inside here that shows a tap count and increments the count whenever the button's pressed. Nice and easy. I'm going to say @state private var tap count is 0. And the body of our view, we're going to say as a button with a title tap count of tap count. And when it's pressed, we're going to do tap count plus equals 1. Now, this is very clearly an extremely important app. So we want to save this tap count. How many taps has the user made over time? So when they come back to this app in the future, they pick up where they left off, tapping the button. To make this happen, we've got to write to UserDefaults inside our buttons action closure here. And so we add one to tap count, and then we're going to say UserDefaults.standard.set tap count for the key tap, like that. And in that single line of code, you can see 3 things in action at the same time. First, we have to say UserDefaults.standard. This is the built-in instance of UserDefaults that's attached to our app. But in more advanced apps, you can create your own instances. For example, you want to share default values between your main app and a widget, for example. Second, there's a single set method here that accepts a wide variety of data. We're storing integers here. You can also store booleans and store strings. And third, we attach a string name to the value we're writing out. This key here, tap, is case sensitive. It's like regular Swift strings. And it's important. We're going to read that same key back out of UserDefaults to read the saved value. Now, speaking of reading the value out again, we can just do it up here. We have tap count being made to 0 every time. And so instead, we can say, actually, I want to do UserDefaults.standard.integer for key tap. So the same key here, tap with a capital T, is used down here. Now press Command R to run the app back and see what you think. You ought to be able to press tap a few times. Make it up to like 13 or 14, 15, whatever, some number like this. And then exit the app, futz around iOS, quit in Xcode, for example, and then run it again. And when you come back to it, boom, tap count remains at 15 here. Now, there are 2 things you can't see in the code, but both matter. First, what happens when the app first runs? There is no integer for the key tap set. It's the very first time you're running the app. But as you saw, it's going to work fine still. If the key can't be found, it just sends back 0. Sometimes having a default value like 0 is very, very helpful, but other times it can be confusing. With booleans, for example, if you say boolean for key rather than integer for key, you get back false. There's no value, it's just false. But is that false a value you wrote in there? Or does it mean there's no value at all? You can't tell the difference, basically. Second, it takes iOS a little amount of time to write your data to permanent storage, to actually save the change to your device. They don't get written out immediately because you might make several changes back to back. So instead, iOS waits a little bit of time, then writes out a number of changes at once. Again, how much that time is, we don't actually know, but a couple of seconds or going to the home screen ought to do it. As a result of this, let's try it out now. If we tap the button quickly, then quit and relaunch the app in Xcode straight away, if I'm here and go tap up to like 29, Xcode, Command R, run again, back at 15. It was not actually saved. Now, there used to be a way of forcing updates to be written now, but at this point it's basically worthless. Even if the user immediately started the process of terminating your app after making a choice, it'd still be written immediately. They haven't got Xcode to quit and relaunch. They go to the home screen and then and then it'll be written out straight away. And so in theory, nothing will ever be lost. Now, I mentioned SwiftUI provides a property wrapper called App Storage around UserDefaults. And in simple situations like this, it's really helpful. What it lets us do is effectively ignore UserDefaults even exists. And instead, we use app storage rather than state. And so we would say up here, make tap count 0 again. But over in this side, we're going to say at app storage. I'll do this time tap count, a slightly different name, like that. And then just delete this whole line of code to write the UserDefaults. Just that. I'll press Command R, run it again. It'll be 0 by default now. I'll add a bunch of things to it. It's now 7. I'll wait a second or two, go to the home screen whenever you use iOS, then relaunch the app. And we'll see, boom, tap count 7. Now again, there are a handful of things I will point out here. First, our access to UserDefaults is done through this app storage property wrapper. This works like @state does. When the value of tap count changes, it will reinvoke the body property automatically for us, so our UI reflects the latest data at all times. Second, we attach a string name, just like we had before. This is the key inside UserDefaults we want to write it to. I've used tap count here, but it can be anything at all. It doesn't have to match the property name. That's what I like doing, but it's not required. And third, the whole rest of the property is declared as normal, including providing a default value of 0. That'll be used if there is no existing value set inside UserDefaults for tap count. Now, clearly, using app storage is easier than using UserDefaults directly. I took out a lot of code to make it work. It's one line rather than two, and it's, of course, I'm going to repeat the key name again and again and again. However, right now, at least as of iOS 17, this app storage property wrapper doesn't make it easy to handle complex objects, like Swift structs, for example. Perhaps Apple wants to remember that storing there is a bad idea, for example. I don't know. One warning though. When it comes to submitting apps to the App Store, if you want to go live with something like this, Apple asks you just let them know that you're loading and saving data with UserDefaults. Why are you doing it? Whether it's app storage or UserDefaults, just let them know you're doing it, okay? It's nothing to worry about. They're not panicking about you stealing user data or whatever. This will make sure you aren't sharing data across many apps to try and spy on users.